Hi guys, so nearly 6:59. Oh no, dead on 1800. For those of you who know me, or if you don't particularly know me that well, then I'm very good with my timekeeping. And I am. It's a particular strength of mine, I would say. So welcome. Sunday the 21st of June. Yeah, gosh, it's quite weird to think we're nearly at the end of June soon. Where's it gone? So, something I wanted to sort of reflect and sort of share is courage when it relates to being open and responsive to getting feedback from others. So I had a call this week that was related to a training event that I'd delivered, and they were offering to give me some feedback in relation to the delivery of the event. And the actual the call and the feedback that they were suggesting that they could give me if I wanted it wasn't planned. So when I got this call, initially it was a voice message, so I sort of rang them back after about 10 minutes or so. I noticed my internal responses to it. So I immediately had a couple of thoughts around what if, the feedback isn't that good. I had some challenges and issues with sharing my slides. So I almost started to think, will that have affected how people felt? And then I began to notice things like my stomach was churning a little bit. I had just a low level feeling of, a bit of angst, a little bit of anxiety perhaps, and then my breathing started to become affected. I noticed that as well. So what I did at the time was I actually wrote my feelings down on a piece of paper and really sort of noticed what I was feeling and the senses I was experiencing as well. And I also started to really control my breathing and really slow the breathing down. And I was very aware that if I continued to feel the way I had been, then I wouldn't be in an open place to receive the feedback, whatever that was. I potentially would start to come from a defensive place, and that would mean then that I was already closing my, my ear rolls, never alone anything else, to being open to receiving it. And also, if I continued to do that, it would lead me to feeling like I needed to jump in on any comments and sort of justify myself. And if this then happened, then again, I would be closing myself down to hearing the feedback. So, as I said to you, I did my breathing. I felt what I call that inner angst begin to reduce, and I brought myself to a more open space so I could hear the feedback wherever it was. And once I'd sort of done that, I then sort of went back to the person and said, yeah, I'm open to a call. And I also sort of reflected on that, and I thought, for lots of reasons, I think growing up, at different times I felt the need to protect myself and others, to defend and perhaps justify in some way. I think that there was also some level of judgment, whatever that was. So I think that I sometimes feel like I was being judged myself. And what I sort of know is that if you feel like you're being judged, you tend to defend yourself and bring up the walls quite quickly. And that's where my thought process sort of went in terms of the courage, because I feel it takes courage to be truly, really, truly open to getting feedback from others. I think often we may say to others, yeah, we want to hear the feedback, but there's probably another internal process at the time going on which says, actually, I'm open to it, but as long as it's all right and it's quite good, don't give me any of the other stuff that might be a little bit uncomfortable. And other things I've noticed, I've worked with coaches in training for many, many years now, and we have this common thing, what you call, you go into triads when you're practicing skills. So often you'll have a coach, coachee, and the observer, which is a really important role. And what I'll always tend to say is they'll have some coaching practice, and then I'll say, right, when they give feedback at the end, the observer, who's the most objective really at that point, they'll give the feedback first. Then the coachee will give their feedback to the coach, and then finally the coach at that point, when they've given their feedback, they can then choose to reflect and say anything they would like. But what's interesting about this process, time and time again, is however many times I say or others say it's all about the learning. Let's start with what went well first, then look at areas for development. At this point, honestly, about 80% of the time, as soon as somebody starts to hear an area for development, I'm not even calling it critical feedback or using any of those words which might be loaded. The amount of people that still literally find it really, really hard to just not speak, basically, and they start to come back and explain and justify and sort of defend their stance, their position, why they chose a particular skill, why they didn't do it this way or that way. And the moment they do that, you notice very quickly that they're not really hearing the other person at all, because their own inner critic and their own chatter has already started. And I was thinking about this, and I think for a lot of people, I think the nature of feedback has probably been historically based on either being told that what they've done is wrong, and the need to do it better somehow, whatever that means. And also, going back to what I said earlier, I think there are other terms and words that people tend to associate with feedback. And I used earlier on this word critical. I think the moment sometimes people hear it, their word goes to critical, and then I think the critical by default, because of our own experiences, has other connotations to it. And in fact, I actually looked up some definitions around critical, put the word critical in. And interestingly, there are a number of words associated with critical, and I'm just going to read a couple to you, but really interesting to note what they were. Condemning, disapproving, disparaging, fault-finding, judgmental, negative, overcritical, and I think you've guessed by now, the list goes on. Then another one, it said under critical in the Cambridge English Dictionary, saying that someone or something is bad or wrong. And then also in the Merriam-Webster version, it said given to making or expressing unfavourable judgments about things. So already those sort of definitions were fairly negative. There were some others that maybe weren't quite so much, but the general consensus was that they were quite critical. And again, I've put, well, if that's the case, then this starts to make a person feel judged quite quickly. If a person's feeling quite judged and then they feel bad, and it almost has a sense of feeling like they've done something wrong. And I think when people associate those sorts of thoughts and words with things, it tends to then shut down literally your hearing. You're not really listening and hearing to what somebody's actually saying. What you're already doing is you're thinking about what they've already said or what you thought they were saying, because you're often interpreting it in a different way. You've got your own chitter-chatter going on. And again, you're in a place of almost trying to then continue to justify and defend yourself. And I made a note here, and I've put, I think that's often what happens to a lot of people with feedback. But I've also put, remember, you have a choice with feedback. So a choice as to what you choose to accept and work on. And actually, a choice that which you don't agree with or you don't feel is helpful, equally, you have a right to dismiss it. And it's important to be honest with yourself about what you really need to take on board and develop. Now, as I'm sure many of you are aware, this requires you to be honest. And by being a bit more honest with yourself, you're actually being more vulnerable because you're letting your guard down to hear what has to be said or what's going to be said. Now note, there's a difference between feedback that's in service of yours and someone else's development and growth, and in the service of your relationship with another person, versus a different kind of feedback, which is someone using it as an opportunity to put a person down, to make somebody feel small and worthless. And I think it's really important. It can take a while sometimes, I think, to become discerning with that. But I think it's vital that you actually recognise the difference between the two, and you know, when you are considering taking feedback on board from somebody, that you believe and know that it's a trusted person who actually has your growth, your development, your bigger picture in mind. So as I said, if it's about making somebody feel less than or smaller than, then you know, you do absolutely have a choice to dismiss it, to not take that on board, and certainly not to take somebody's feedback, if you like, if it's actually going to make you feel bad and worse and undermine you in some way, without that sense of being able to help you develop and grow. Now, what I would suggest is, and very similar really to what I did, was next time you're in a position where you're perhaps looking to prepare yourself to have some feedback, or you want to be a bit more open to feedback, first of all, be aware of your breathing, which is what I did earlier. So really slowly breathing down, good sort of 5 minutes or so, you know, just be really mindful of just just do that, literally, even a couple of minutes, to be quite frank, is enough. But just get yourself into a calmer place. And at the same time, remember what I did earlier, note your bodily sensations, notice what's happening internally. And it can help to actually, if you just got a pad or a piece of paper, just to write those things down, so that you're getting them out of your body in a way. You know, by writing them down, you are externalising them in some way. The other thing, actually, which might sound a bit strange, but it does work and it helps, is put your hand sort of like this position here where your heart is, you know, your heart will be, and just put your hand there and literally just connect with your heart and connect with what it represents to be open to another person, to be open to hearing what they have to say. And sometimes just putting your hand there just for a short period of time, it can also ground you a little bit more, and it also connects to that heart open place. And physically as well, I find that if you actually can feel a little bit of your heartbeat, that physical sense can also enable you to feel that little bit calmer and grounded as well. So just a couple of basic ideas and thoughts really about how to be able to enable you to get yourself in a better place, so you can be more open to what others have to say. So I'm now going to move on and read one of my poems. For guys who've come on a live with me before, you know I tend to read a poem of mine that I've created myself. So the one I'm going to read you today is called Brief Encounter. I'm dying. We're all dying. I'm sick. We're all sick to some degree. I need you. We all need someone. I want you. I want to find myself. Myself and I. You and I. You and me. Me and you. Me. Between. You. Like shadows passing, just touching in brief moments of. Reaching out, extending, pulling back, with drawing. What are you drawing? I'm drawing my last breath. I've been sitting very still, present to each given moment, watching each bud begin to bloom, the bud opening and flowering, flowering and blossoming, beauty to behold. You really don't need much. You don't need half of what you think. Kids who are healthy, someone who loves you, that's all. The iced cold water is like nectar on my lips, moist and cool to the touch, feeding my lips, soft and supple as they absorb the liquid nectar, breathing life into my lips. Lips for my butterfly kisses, lips for the gentle touch on your face, lips to move when I tell you I love you, when I tell you I will miss you, lips that will soon lose their colour as I draw my last breath, lips that will continue to breathe on another's, lips to pass life on, lips that breathe life into others. And as I said, that's called Brief Encounter. So guys, true to form, as some of you will know, I always choose a song. I'm just going to get my laptop up. And I'm sure you're all sitting, wondering, or standing, whatever you're doing, in anticipation as to what random song Mandy's chosen this week. I actually heard this a week or so ago on the radio. I went, do you know what? Yes, that's got to be coming up fairly soon. And as always, feel free to, sway away, sing away, move, do whatever you want. You know what the old saying is, dance like nobody's watching. Yeah, so just give us a minute. I'm going to play. Inside these four walls, sent inside forever, never seeing no one nice again like you, Mama. Mama, you. Ba-da-dum bum bum bum, ba-da-dum bum bum bum, ba-da-dum bum bum bum, da-da-dum bum bum bum, doo. This is where I could play the guitar, but wouldn't play it very well. If I ever get out of here, thought of giving it all away to a registered charity. All I need is a pint a day. If I ever get out of here, if we ever get out of here. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Do 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 do. Well, the rain exploded with a mighty crash as we fell into the sun. And the first one said to the second one there, I hope you're having fun. Band on the run. Band on the run, and the jailer man and Sailor Sam were searching everyone for the band on the run. Band band on the run, band on the run, band on the run. Well, the undertaker drew a heavy sigh, see no one else had come, and a bell was ringing in the village square for the rabbits on the run. Band on the run, band on the run. And the jailer man and Sailor Sam were searching everyone for the band on the run, band on the run, band on the run. Boom, boom. Doo-doo-doo. Night was on the run. Oh, slightly wrong verse there. On the run. Band on the run. Band on the run. Well, the night was falling as the desert world began to settle down. In the town they're searching for us everywhere, but we will never be found. Band on the run, band on the run. And the county judge, who held a grudge, will search forevermore for the band on the run, band on the run, band on the run, band on the run, band on the run. So guys, thank you for those who joined me, who listened all the way through to my singing possibly, but I hope that some of my thoughts around feedback, what's required to be open, you know, having that bit of courage to listen, really listen and hear what's being said, and hopefully taking a little bit of thought, inspiration, amusement, and hopefully you like some of my poems I'm sharing as well. So thank you for taking the time. I always say it is a privilege, because you could do 101 other things with your time, but you choose to obviously come and spend this little bit of time with me. So thanks guys, lots of warmth, hugs, smiles, and I shall speak to you later. Thank you. Bye.